that could have ended badly. I'm a great catch.
Get it? Hey guys, so today I have a very special book review for you. It is of my favorite book of all time. And if you watch like any of my videos, you'd know what this book is. And that is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. Now, The Book Thief is set in Nazi Germany. It is narrated by Death, and the main focus is this little girl called Liesel. And her story begins when her mother is taking her and her younger brother to their new foster family. However, her younger brother dies along the way, and when they're at the gravesite, Liesel spots this book lying in the snow. She picks it up, and that is her first act of book thievery. I don't want to give too much else away, but this book also includes hiding a Jewish in their basement, book burnings, book thievery, and also some drawing and writing. This book has some really cute illustrations throughout it. Just a heads up, this is probably going to be more of a rave and a gush fest more than a literate review, because it's such a beautiful book, and trying to express my feelings for it is going to be near impossible, but I'll give it my best shot. So firstly, the array of characters in this book. Like I said before, it is narrated by Death, which is a really interesting and unique aspect of this book, and something I've never seen before, and it was done so well. Writing from Death's perspective could end really badly, but this was done perfectly, absolutely perfectly, because Death isn't human and he sees things in a completely different way from us. Death has a fascination with colours. A small theory: people observe the colours of a day only at its beginnings and ends, but to me it's quite clear that a day merges through a multitude of shades and intonations with each passing moment. A single hour can consist of thousands of different colours: waxy yellows, cloud splat blues, murky darknesses. In my line of work, I make it a point to notice them. He uses them as a sort of distraction from his work. He observes the colours rather than the bloody bodies that he's collecting souls from. It also reveals quite an interesting fact about Death, which really separates him from a lot of other representations of Death. It shows that he's quite sympathetic towards humans, and he actually despises war. All of this destruction, he tries to distract himself from it. He tries to find the beauty to focus on, which is the colours. Death actually has a personality, and like I mentioned, using Death as a narrator could be so poorly done, but because he does have this personality and because he does seem quite human-like, it works so well, especially with this story. And I just loved how Death saw the world and how he interpreted things, and his understanding and perception of certain characters. It was just so beautiful. But now moving on to some of the other characters. I think my favourite character is Hans Hubermann, Liesel's foster father. He's just such a lovely human being. He's so kind, he's so sweet, and I grew to love him so much. I love the fact that he played the accordion. I love the fact that he taught Liesel how to read and write even though he wasn't very good himself. I loved that he was incredibly loyal, that he opened up his home to this Jewish man and helped to hide him throughout the war. I love him. I love him so much. I want him to be my father. That's a terrible thing to say, but honestly, he is like the perfect father figure. He is flawed, but he is so sweet and so kind and so loving, and he's so adorable. I also adore that Jewish man. His name is Max. He's been through absolute hell, pretty much, being in his situation in Nazi Germany, and even still he develops such a connection, such a beautiful friendship with Liesel, and the way they interact with each other, the way they talk to each other is just, it's so beautiful to read. One example of this is Liesel describing the weather to him, how it looks outside, and she says, "The sky is blue today, Max, and there is a big long cloud, and it's stretched out like a rope. At the end of it, the sun is like a yellow hole." And as she continues to describe it, Max starts to paint this picture on the wall, and beneath it he writes, "It was a Monday and they walked on a tightrope to the sun." And I just love the interaction between this man and this child, and the way that her imagination works as well, and how she's describing the weather. It's so poetic, and it's so good. It's so good. And that's the same for the entire book. The writing in this book gets so lyrical, very descriptive, so rich, and so perfect for the story. I also love how Death kind of inserts his own little thoughts or bits of information and things like that into the story in an interesting way. For example, in the very first page, "Here is a small fact. You are going to die." And I love these little inserts. There's also kind of conversations, statistical information about Liesel stealing books, facts or information about Rosa Hubermann. I can't even think of an appropriate word to describe the writing of this book. The most appropriate I can possibly think of is perfection. Perfection. Finally, what I think about the story. To sum it all up, it is heartbreaking. The situation that these characters are put in, they are put through so much fear, so much trauma, so much hardship, and through it all they continue to develop such strong, beautiful relationships with each other. These impenetrable connections that stay strong through everything that they go through, especially when they're torn apart. And the ending of this book is so emotionally draining. I'll give you that. It is emotionally draining. It takes everything out of you. It hurts your heart so much, but it is so beautiful, and I think it is the perfect ending. As hard as that is to say, I think it's the only way this book could have ended, and I'm happy for that. But even still, it's so bittersweet because there are these characters that you love that things don't turn out quite the way you hope. But not all of it is quite a surprise though, because throughout the story, death blatantly tells you what's going to happen to some of the characters. Even still, even when you know what's going to happen, it comes crashing into you like a freaking train, and you don't know what to do with yourself. And that's because of the love you develop for these characters. Ruddy, who is Liesel's childhood friend, they go on so many adventures together, they become such close friends, they're so adorable, and you just want a happy ending for both of them. You want a happy ending for every single character in this story. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I developed such a strong connection with all of the characters. I fell completely in love with every single one of them, with the story as a whole, and I've never ever fallen into a book like I did with this one. It completely takes a hold of you and drags you right into the story, and it doesn't let you go. Even when you finish reading it, you are a slave to this book. You're a slave to this. Your emotions are in shackles, and this book is doing whatever the hell it wants with them. I've just never had a strong reaction to a book before. And that is why this book is my favourite book of all time. It's just so beautiful. It is so perfect, and I will love it until the end of time. And I'm so excited for the movie coming out. They better do this book justice. From what I saw from the trailer when I did my reaction, it looks like it's going to be really goddamn good. It looks like it's going to be a good film. And I'm so glad that Death is going to be narrating in the film as well, because he's such an integral part of the story and it wouldn't work without him. So yeah, those are my thoughts, those are my opinions on this book. I don't know if it made any sense whatsoever. My thoughts are just a big fat blubbery mess because thinking about this story makes me emotional. It makes me so emotional, and it's so beautiful and I love it so much. I recommend this book to every single person alive. Honestly, it is amazing. You need to read it, but you do need to beware that your heart will be torn out of your chest when you read this book. So get a few boxes of tissues ready, or mentally prepare yourself for a few months. Not really, you don't need to go to extreme measures, but just be aware that this book might kill you. Or at least your soul. A star rating is just pointless because it's my favourite book. Like, it is #1 for me, and it always will be, I think. That's just the way it is, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this review. If it ends up in any form like a review, feel free to share your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'm also really interested to see if anyone didn't like this book, and if you did not, tell me why. And that is all for this review. If you're interested in picking it up or reading more about the synopsis or even watching the trailer for the movie that's coming out, I will leave a bunch of links down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!